Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users getting folks the answer they need from an employment attorney. Today, we have a question from YouTube user Tazzy BYT. And Tazzy BYT asked us, my EEOC agent said we were skipping mediation and going straight to the investigation. What does that mean? Okay, so what that means in the simplest possible way is that one or both of the parties decline mediation. When you file with the EEOC has not a mandatory mediation program, but a voluntary mediation program. And they'll send out notices to both sides, the employer and the employee, saying, hey, do you want to opt into our ADR, alternate dispute resolution program? Basically, they're asking, do you want to mediate? And if either party says no or both parties says no, then you're not going to have a mediation. The reason for that is that theoretically, mediation requires consent. If you're asking people to get together and talk about exchanging money to settle a case, it's weird to be like, and you don't get a choice, you have to go. Because then that party's going to go, like if it's the employer, they're going to go and be like, we're here because we have to be, but we're not giving you anything. And that's probably not going to be useful. And that's a choice the EEOC made. They're like, well, there's no point in having these mediations if everybody doesn't agree to it. Now, the counterpoint to that is that there are mandatory mediation programs in the federal court system that do really, really well at getting cases settled. And that's weird and a bit shocking, but it's hard to argue with the data. Mandatory mediation programs do get cases settled and are really good at disposing of cases without judges having to hear trials. So, you know, I mean, we can agree with the EEOC all I want, but there's some federal judge somewhere who's going to be like, tell me more about how it has to be, how we require consent for mediation, right? Tell me more about that, because my data says you're wrong. Well, fair enough. I think mediation should require consent. I think most things should require consent. But I digress. Now, you were asking us what that means. That's what that means. And it means that if you're not going to go to mediation, they're going to go ahead with the investigation phase. And the investigation phase for most investigators will consist of saying, I have the charge that was filed, the charge of discrimination. Now, employer, give me your position statement. Thank you for your position statement. I may or may not have read it. Now, employee, complainant, plaintiff. Here's the position statement. Please draft me a rebuttal. You have this long to do it. I may or may not read it. And then you'll draft your rebuttal. They may or may not read it. They may or may not do additional investigation. They may or may not talk to witnesses. They may or may not hold fact-finding conferences. They may or may not make efforts to settle the case. They may or may not ever look at the file again. And eventually, if nothing happens, they'll issue a right to sue letter, and you can go on to federal court. That's generally what this means in terms of the procedures, the facts, and what to expect. Now, I think you may have been asking me for a more philosophical meaning, right? When you say, what does this mean? It's easy for me, like, it means somebody didn't want to mediate. Great. But as per the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the meaning of life being 42, we can look a little bit deeper. What does this mean? How did we get here? Why didn't your employer want to mediate? And it's easy to look at that and try to extrapolate meaning from that, try to digest that down, distill it down, find the meaning. Why would they not mediate? Don't do that. It's not a good time. It's not useful to you. And here's why. Your employer has a near infinite number of reasons why they might do or not do anything, including choosing to mediate this case. Things like, we don't have money right now. Or things like, my contract is up in a year, and this case might take more than a year. So if I ignore the mediation, it's not my problem. It's my predecessor? No. my post-assessor, the person who comes after me will have to deal with this. So it's not my problem. Could just be like, hey, our in-house counsel doesn't really know that much about employment law, so chose not to mediate. Could be we haven't hired outside counsel yet. So we haven't done an internal investigation, and we don't know how bad our liability is. Could be middle managers are lying. Middle managers do indeed be lying all the time. Could be they're just out there telling counsel, outside counsel, inside counsel, in-house counsel, whoever it is, they could be like, listen, I know that Stevie filed this complaint, but it's all lies, and we have proof of everything, and this one time Stevie brought nunchucks to work and tried to hit me with them. And that attorney's going to be like, wow, we're not going to go to mediation with some kind of nunchuck terrorist. Why would we? We're not going to give this mad person money. We'll fight it out, right? And then, of course, the reality is that Stevie, who's in my mind apparently Stevie Nicks, doesn't even own nunchucks. Doesn't know how to use nunchucks. No one in the entirety of the department ever saw Stevie with nunchucks. One guy who was speaking not under oath in an internal investigation was like, yeah, the nunchuck thing. None of this is my fault. I just want to keep my job. So Stevie Nicks came in with nunchucks and attacked everybody. So nothing Stevie says can be believed. Stevie's a nunchucker. And Stevie's a real bad nunchucker, right? I hope nunchucker's not like a... I mean, nunchucker isn't like a person who attacks people with nunchucks. Not if that's like a slur of some kind, which I don't think it is, but like I heard the phrase chucker in there and I immediately sounds like other slurs. Which was not intentional. But right, so that you just like, he's a bad nunchuck person. Or she, whoever, right? And so then you don't get mediation. And you're over here, Tazzy BYT, like, none of that ever happened. Demonstrably so. No one will say that happened. The closed caption recording in the office doesn't have video of that. Everybody, the day you said that I came in and went on a nunchuck rampage, just hitting everybody, we went bowling together as an office. I have my score sheet. I came in third. Why would you go bowling with me if I hit you with a nunchuck earlier in the day, right? Like that's how ridiculous the lies can be. And this is why you can't extrapolate from the employer being like, I don't want to go to mediation. Because you have no idea why they don't want to go to mediation. It really can just be, man, we don't have a ton of money right now. And we're getting another series of funding, or we're getting a big sale, or we're going bankrupt. Like, there's in 6 months. So, like, we're not going to go to mediation right now, right? Because if we go to mediation right now and we actually settle the case, we're going to have to pay like 28 days. And I don't want to do that. I would rather pay more and make this case take 18 months. That's an option for them. They don't have to settle the case if they can't afford to right now, right? Excuse me. So, Tazzy, I tried to give you both answers. What does it mean in terms of procedural questioning? And then, I guess, what does it mean in terms of the procedural question? And then, on top of that, what does it mean as in, like, what can we extrapolate from the fact that the employer declined to go to mediation? And the answer there is not a goddamn thing. Sincerely. Don't put yourself in a tailspin about it. Don't think about it. Just is what it is. Onward, forward, run the ball, make it happen. Bring that claim to fruition, get paid. Okay? If this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. It helps our channel to grow. If it was not helpful, you should give me a thumbs down. I think I earned a thumbs down. Like, let me feel your wrath. Let the hate flow through you. Okay? Okay. Anyways, if this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. Share the channel. Helps us grow stuff. Bye.